Welcome live here tonight on Glacier TV. My name is Marius Gallenberg and I can welcome you here tonight for the first round of the fourth season of the QRS Blondie's Mazda World Tour. Tonight here on Okayama Short, one of the most driven, most classical circuits in iRacing. Tonight here with me, Rico Alatalo and Mark Fangman in the booth, and we're in the last few minutes of the qualifying and, 40 laps to race here, and it looks like it's going to be a classic evening. Many good drivers have signed up for the entire season. We've got 28 season sign-ups here, 29 drivers even on the server, so probably one made a short decision of making the grid here. And currently we've got Jan Komans in the pole spot with a blistering lap of 1 minute .753. Almost 3/10 in front of the second place, Guillermo Rato here, 101.145, and in third place, Tomasz Bastos with 101.384. All cars, of course, Mazda MX-5s. There's the only difference between the Cup Mazda and the Roadster Mazda, only decided by different gearbox settings and, of course, the seating position on the right and left. And well, we've got a good spread of these cars. Some people chose the right-hand driven one, and some chose the left-hand driven one. And it's of course going to be a classic race here, as this combo is run in the very starter league here in iRacing. So if you join iRacing, if you just want to do your first races, this is probably one of the combos you will come across. And of course the MX-5, the rookie car here for the guys who just joined iRacing. But as these cars are also driven by these drivers, they are no longer, well, let's say rookie cars, but of course also, yeah, key for the action here tonight, as we will see as we're on board with the current pole setter Jan Komans, as he's going to start another lap yet here in the qualifying. We've got about 3.5 minutes left here, 50 minutes qualifying, and yeah, it looks like Jan is gonna keep that pole, Rico.
Yeah, he's 3/10 up, has a pole time by 3/10, so in a 1 minute track that seems a fairly strong time. Jan usually races the NVIDIA series, the official MX-5 series on iRacing, and he's faster too, so he's definitely the one to watch.
Yeah, it looks like he's the guy to beat here tonight, but we've also got several other guys here, as you might be following several Glacier TV broadcasts in the past, or maybe our archive on YouTube. You might know the name Giancarlo Lenzi, for example, or also Guillermo Rato, currently 5th and 2nd here, and Lenzi, as we have been discussing this previously to the broadcast, always the guy to have a view on here. I mean, Komans here with 28 cars on the grid is certainly not having an easy race here, so he has to bring this home, and we know he's an expert in the car, but that is not the whole situation here. 3/10 to second place here, Jan Komans currently still in the pole.
Yeah, there seems to be quite a sizable gap between first, second, and third. There's a 3/10 of a second each from first to second and second to third, so there's quite a bit of a gap between the top three, but then it gets fairly close from fourth downwards on the order.
Yeah, we've got Douglas Baird currently in 4th position, 101.4 for him. And then it's just 1 second to 18th place. So we've got a short track, Rico. I mean, it's just over 2 kilometers long, but 18 cars, well, not 18 cars, but 16 cars in 1 second. And I mean, that is the definition of close right there.
Yeah, I think the mid-pack will be very interesting for tonight, seeing how is it gonna pan out, seeing hopefully there's gonna be a lot of overtakes and great racing.
That is guaranteed, I guess, as with 2.09 kilometers, this is one of the shortest tracks in the service, and well, the MX-5 car's easy to handle, somewhat controllable on the limit as well, and we've got many good drivers here tonight, and also they are really close together in the times, and well, this just is the recipe for great racing. And well, since we've got a bit of 2 minutes here left until the qualifying is finished, it is time to bring you this series a bit closer. the Blondie's MX5 World Tour. You might want to, you might be asking now, who is Blondie? So why is it called Blondie's? Blondie's is actually a bar in Long Beach, California. So if you're an American coming from California or nearby, as we've also got four drivers here in the grid tonight from California, you might want to go visit the place, and you might want to find one or the other iRacer there. If you want to know more about the bar, just go to blondieslbc.com and find out where it is, and find out about menus or recipes or anything. Just check it out. And we've got 15 rounds here in this series. It's run weekly, roughly until the end of this year. December 15th is the last round here. We've got mostly road tracks, duration of 45 minutes here, just as tonight. One exception is the USA International Oval, on which we have 100 laps, and that lies just in the middle of the series, the 8th round on October 27th. That is going to be a stunning thing, as well as we've got two longer races, which are 75 minutes, Brands Hatch Grand Prix and Sebring International Raceway, which is also going to be night. And, well, Ricky, you've driven lots of these cars and also driven in lots of different circumstances, and, well, we've got Charlotte in the night and Sebring in the night here, and that is something special to race in, is it?
Yeah, night racing is very different form of racing to normal daylight racing. There's very little light, and it's hard to spot the apexes and other cars near you. So it is a bit of a different experience compared to normal racing.
First of all, we're gonna have this first round commencing as the qualifying is just finished with the checkered flag. We've got the last drivers here crossing the line, completing their last laps, and maybe we've got one or the other change on the qualifying grid. But first of all, we're gonna have Jan Komans keeping the pole here, as no one is currently on a lap to beat him. The man on the pole position, Jan Komans, 1:00.753, and that is quite a stunning lap. I mean, Ricky, you probably also know the rookie series, and I mean, strong people are born there. They all start there, and I think Jan is one of the guys you have to fear there. He's always driving the MX-5. He's always just on the very limit, and I think he's really the guy to beat on this combo.
Yeah, the Okayama short is raced in the official series on iRacing, and Jan usually does have the world record qualifying times each season consistently. Very rarely do you see him second or third in qualifying.
And as all cars have meanwhile finished their laps, we're going to go through the grid with you here. And as we've said, Jan Komans on the pole, 3/10 in front of Guillermo Rato. Yeah, it's going to be a good first row here. The start is going to be interesting. We've not got so much space until the first turn, so probably lots of heated action. In third, Douglas Baird. Fourth position, completing the second row here, Thomas Bastos. And then, Riku, just like you said, it's getting narrower. It's really getting closer in the mid-pack. Giancarlo Lenzi only in fifth position. I would have expected a bit more of him. Lino Chestang in sixth, Sam McAleer in seventh, Tom Ratje in eighth. And Thomas, for example, only, just about 1/10 of the 3 places ahead of him. So it's a split-second decision here. 8th position, Tom Ratje. 9th, Dexter Castro. And completing the top 10 is Chris Moran with a 1:01.7. And then it's just really getting close. I mean, look at this, Riku. The last, the last places in the top 20, in fact. Yeah, just about 1/10, 2/10 of the top 10. I mean, place 14, for example, is less than 1/10 of place 9, and this is just what this track is about.
Yeah, well, due to the short nature of the track, the times usually will be very close, but this is, I mean, 1/10 separating 4 or 5 people, that is just really close.
Meanwhile, most of the cars are on the grid, and we're about to go live here. First round of the QRS Blondie's Mazda World Tour here. First of 15 rounds, and we're commencing this series on one of the classic tracks, Okayama Short. And the lights are almost on here, and all cars are on the grid, 28 in number. And we've got Jan Komans on the pole once again, Guillermo Rato first, completing the first line, Douglas Baird in third, Thomas Bastos in fourth, and we're going to see a run to the first turn of just about 300 meters, and then it's just under braking, and it's the question if Komans is going to keep his first place here. Lights on, and it's question who's going to get the quickest start here. And we're green, and it looks like a good start from Comans, also from Rato, but just looks like he can't make the run. Bastos, great start in 4th. Also, Lino Chestang is losing a bit there. Sam McAleer also going for the move for 6th already. Comans still in 1st, already looking quite clean here down the grid. No incidents so far. And Ricky, this just seems like they barely know what's on the line here. I mean, it's 40 laps only, and the guys are really taking this easy.
Yeah, very surprising start. I mean, the racing in the rookie series in iRacing is very, very sketchy, and there's usually a lot of mayhem in turn 1. And I'm very surprised. So far, no incidents, with a field of 30 cars. It's very surprising not to have anything in turn 1, or the whole first lap for that matter.
Sam McAleer, meanwhile, made the move on the start. We've seen it. He overtook Lino Chestang for a 6th position here, and Lino's down to 7th. And we see in the last turn, cars going very wide. There are lots of dust kicking up as Comans completes the first lap here with already half a second a lead, and that is in 1 lap.
That is actually 1.4 second lead.
It is, and that is just stunning.
Yeah, Jan seems to be flying straight away and giving no chance to the rest of the competition. But so is second place guy Kilherme. I'm sorry for mispronouncing that name for sure, but yeah, he's also, as 3rd place is lost by Douglas.
3rd place is lost. Douglas Bear loses the 3rd place here to Thomas Bastos, and right around the outside, already showing himself, Giancarlo Lenzi here, just down to the last turn. It looks like Douglas Bear has some problems here out of the turn as Lenzi completes the pass for 4th position.
Wow, Douglas just lost 2 places in 1 lap. He must not be very happy about that.
Yeah, and he might just lose another one as Sam McAleer, with his good start, might go and charge for the 5th position here. Now into the first turn, both late on the brakes here. McAleer on the inside. Will he complete the pass? Very much on the outside. Douglas Baird almost crashing there into the gravel, and he just can't hold these guys. I mean, he's had such a good qualifying, qualified in 3rd position here, and now it just looks like he's being tossed down the grid.
Yeah, 3 places in 1.5 laps. That must not be a good feeling at all. Speaking of leaders here, Jan Komens he's right on pace. He's only 1/10 of his qualifying time just on the 2nd lap of the race, so he's really pushing to the limit.
Yeah, he's probably looking for an early lead here, just trying to max the gap to 2nd position, trying to get a buffer. Of course, the track isn't that long. We've got this through, and it's gonna be plenty of overtakes and lapping cars here. So he's probably more safe having a bit of 2 or 3 seconds gap already. 2.1 this lap, and it looks like we've got a fight growing up for 2nd place.
Yeah, talking about Jan, about his lap times, he actually set a 1:07 on the dot, which is actually faster than his qualifying time by half a tenth. So he's really on the pace here, as the 1st and the 2nd place men are getting away from the rest of the pack.
Lots of battles going on in the mid-pack, just as promised. We've got cars going too wide here through half of the track, and currently place 4 to 7 is a train of 4 cars right away here. Dino Chastain currently in 7th position, has to back off a tiny bit as he's just been pressurized by Dexter Castro, but also he has to let them go. And then we've got the first big gap between 8th and 9th position here. And it just shows how this grid is set. I mean, we've got Jan and Guillermo in front just running away from the grid, literally. And then we've got lots of guys fighting for 3rd, 4th, 5th position, so on. And then we've got 9th, 10th again, and we're gonna see a bit of battle there. Tom Ratti versus Chris Moran just into the 2nd turn, and it's just battles everywhere.
Yeah, this will be interesting. They're battling on the way to the pit stops. There's gonna be a pit stop on the in this race. There is not enough fuel in the tank to complete the whole race, so it's going to be interesting to see how these fights pan out after the pit stop. If it's going to be all race long or.
And there are just battles everywhere. I mean, just looking through the grid and around place 10, there's just so much going on. We're in here with 3 people just looking through the grid as place 3 is going to be heated up here. Giancarlo Lenzi, he has been proclaimed for one of the guys for the top 3 for the podium here, and he's now trying to make the move against Thomas Bastos in the first turn here, and he's later on the brakes. Oh, and crash!
Oh.
Sam McAleer crash!
Oh, seems like Sam wasn't aware of the early braking of the 2 cars in front of him since they were going side by side, so a bit of an early braking needed to make the corner, and Sam was caught off guard and made contact with Thomas.
Yeah, it seems like he locked his front left wheel under braking there, and he just couldn't make the turn, and well, then used Thomas unsafely there as a brake marker, and that is very unfortunate. Of course, gives Giancarlo Lenzi the 3rd place surely, and we're going to see a replay of that.
As we get a mention that Joel Wraith has retired out of the race, we'll try to find the reason for his retirement.
Oh, we've got some cars in the pits already. Christopher Thompson with severely damaged left rear of his Mazda MX-5. Joel Wraith out of the race, and might be a thing between them or Simon Iris, who's also in the pits and currently repairing his car. And these 3 are the only ones not on the lead lap anymore, as Jan Komans is about to complete his 7th lap already, so you see how fast this goes. The guys are going to have to complete 40 laps here, roughly 45 minutes, with 1 fixed pit stop, as they will have to need some more fuel here to complete the race. The engine definitely needs more than that, and Joel Raff continues with his bad luck streak on this race. 4 laps down, now disconnected from the race, so he's our first official retiree. Well, Rico, this has been a heated start of the race. I mean, it's just what we expected, and we are currently on board with Carsten Borchers, and he's just one of the mid-pack runners here. Fights everywhere, ahead of him, behind him, and he's currently challenging Tom Ratje for 9th position.
Really close racing between places 13 all the way to 9. And then from 9th onwards it is a bit more spread out, but yeah, at the back of the field there seems to be some great close racing.
Even if they are spread out, you've said that, it doesn't mean that the racing stops. I mean, even the guys for places like 13, 14, they are still doing their very best to gain positions, and they are just racing all over the place here.
Yeah, Jere Janis on position 13 in the number 37 car is right on the back of Chris Moran in 12th place, and let's see if he can make a move coming onto the first turn. Takes a look on the inside, but I don't think he has the advantage. No, goes back in line. But yeah, great fight here between Jere Janis and Chris Moran for 12th position. Over the line, they only had a gap of 2/10 of a second.
Meanwhile,
as Chris actually makes a mistake coming into the back straight, and Jere goes past. For 12th
yeah,
position.
he had to back off. He had to back off, and Jere goes past and takes the 11th position here. And well, it's not going to take long, I guess, and then Chris is going to have to start getting that 9th position, 12th position back, of course, as it's almost impossible to run away if you are on the same pace here.
Yeah, speaking of pace, Jan Komans has pulled a gap of almost 6 seconds in 9 laps, which is very impressive. His pace seems to be just unmatched by the other competition.
Almost 6 seconds to second position here. That's almost 1 second per lap as we are in lap 10 here of the 40 lap race. So he's completed 1/4 already, and he's probably got the early lead and the big, relatively big bit of a gap here, which he wants to really relax from now on, and he's probably going to take it a bit more easy with the lap cast coming up.
Yeah, good gap is good, so you can always take it easy with the back markers and ensure that you can overtake safely and make sure no accidents happen. Also, so that you don't have to make up once the pit stop window comes up, you don't have to really push to go into the pits and force a mistake trying to go on the limit into the pit lane, which can be very easy to make, but especially in Okayama with the pit entry is a bit more difficult than usual.
And we've still got lots of fights going on here on the track. Tom Rudd here currently our subject here on the cameras, currently in 9th position, the Massachusetts driver here, and he's just 17 seconds down the lead. But the guys around him, they are all just split seconds ahead or behind. I mean, we've got Borges behind him, we've talked about him earlier, and we've got McAleer who had the crash in front of him, and he's just gonna go and try to get Dexter Castro. He's currently right in front of him. So that is the top 10, and I think that there's going to be a lot of position changes as it seems. I mean, these guys are just trying it every turn. We've seen crash early, and these they are not trying to take it easy at the moment.
Yeah, the pace seems to be very similar throughout the field. Looking at P5, Thomas Bastos, he ran a minute 2.1 seconds on the last lap. That compared to Tom Rudd here in 9th place, he ran a minute 2.1 also, so between P5 and P9 it's really even. Actually, looking, everyone between P5 and P9 ran a 1 minute 2.1 last lap, so it's very close racing.
It doesn't look like Giancarlo Lenzi has given up and decided on keeping the 3rd place here. Currently he's on 101.7 per lap, the same pace as Guillermo Rato. Is currently in 2nd position, so 101.9 for Rato now, and Lenzi just comes across the line, 0.6. Gained another 3/10 here, just 3 seconds behind here, and just overtaking Earl Davidson here, the first one to be lapped and put 1 lap down here. And well, it's safe to say that Koolmans is the candidate for the win here tonight, but behind him there's lots of possibilities.
Well, true, Jan can win, but anything can happen in this. I mean, actually, it's easy to go wide in T1. Your car can suddenly suffer from understeer, and if you go wide in T1, it's a pretty safe bet that you'll be hitting the wall on the outside, so anything can happen, and it is not guaranteed a win for Jan yet.
Anything can happen, you say it, and we're currently in the 14th lap here. 40 laps overall, so we've got 1/3 done here, and lots of action going on, and we're still with the battle for 6th, 7th position as Lino Chastain, Sam McAleer, Thomas Bastos currently fighting, and Lino is maybe going to make a move here around the outside in the first turn, trying to go late on the brakes, but it looks like Bastos in front of him is just trying to play safe and try to defend his position here clearly.
Seems like there's some connection issues. Oh, he's up here running from Lino.
Yeah, that was very close here. His right side is a bit damaged, as they are also running towards Earl Davidson here, overtaking. And Sam
This is gonna be
McAleer,
interesting.
yeah, McAleer trying to get them. Oh, and Davidson very close behind him here, just trying to get out of the way. And you see how narrow this track really is if you're close together with 3+ cars.
Let's see if Sam can make a move into turn 1. He's very right on the bumper of Lino. Oh, not even turn 1. Second last turn, he's going on the inside.
Ooh, that is brave.
Still side by side, and he makes the pass.
Yeah, very brave.
That
Great move. Definitely
a
great
very
move.
fast turn.
And we may not forget Sam McAleer from Scotland is the Season 3 champion of the QRS Blondies MX-5. series, so he's probably the guy you want to beat, and his aims, of course, we've got him interviewed before the race, his aims are to get the same result this season, and I think that's going to be difficult. Guillermo and Coleman's looking very strong in the first two positions, so Macaulay a bit stuck here in top 5.
Yeah, and it seems like the pit window is slowly starting now. From P7, Dexter Castro pitted and he rejoined now in 24th position.
Christopher Thompson makes the second retiree of the race tonight. He was long in the pits, had some severe damage to his car, and decided now that the race is over for him. So he is in 29th position and can't change anything about that. Really sad result for him here. So probably not the thing he's been expecting. 29th for him. Rico,
Yeah,
let's talk about the pit window. And I think you said it's starting to slowly open here. You think, I mean, these guys are all close together. We're seeing top 6, top 4 drivers here fighting for 4th position, and I think all of them could go a bit faster if they had a free track. So what do you think they can do? I mean, will they try to run the tank empty, just try to squeeze the pit window to the very end, as of course they've all got the similar load of fuel, and yeah, maybe try to make the pit stop as late as it's possibly going to be, or maybe pit now, as they are. It seems like, for example, Lino is really stuck in there, and try to leapfrog them over the pits.
Yeah, that's a very good opportunity for Lino to pit early and maybe get some clear track and put him some really good laps, and then undercut Sam McAleer when he pits. Since the car is not really affected by the fuel load that much, it is a good possibility that could happen. Some pit tactics can be used to overtake.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, would you think that's been the thing what Dexter Castro, for example, has been doing? I mean, he's been in, I think, 7th position before his pit stop, and well, he's not really far down now. I mean, he's in 22nd after the pit stop, but his lap times have just been increased, well, rather decreased after the pit stop. I mean, he's been doing 103s, high 102s before his pit stop, and his last lap has already been at 101.9.
Yeah, before the pit he seemed to be behind. He was in P8. He seemed to be behind. P6, P7, P5 were really right in front of him. So maybe he saw that as an opportunity to pit early and maybe try to gain P5 after the pit stops.
Yep, but now he's also running towards. Oh, that was close, as he's trying to overtake Bill Zahn there, and Castro and Zahn here fighting for 21st position. Zahn now moves over. Of course, this is a fight for position, whether or not you've been in the pits or not. And as the cars in front of him are not, have not yet been in the pits, of course, Castro has to work his way, yeah, ahead of the grid. And he's a veteran of the series, of course, been racing here for some long time, but still looking to get his first win here, the young guy from Maine, and it's been looking fairly confident for him the whole race. 9th position before the pit stop, and it's going to be interesting to see where he finishes when the guys are all in the pits.
And we got news that Kelvin Stallings has retired. Seems like from 19th position on lap 15 he made a bit of a mistake on the last corner, and Pinto ran into the back of him and sent him to the inside wall, and maybe too much damage and couldn't continue.
Yeah, and the damage just replicates on the front, on the hood of Elito Pinto. The blue-white MX-5 here severely damaged on the front, had some big scrapes here, and probably also not running as well as undamaged. And just behind him we've got Dexter Castro now, so yeah, probably Kanaya between them two. Probably these two are going to be the first to overtake for Dexter Castro.
Yeah, it's interesting that there was some contact between Hiro Kanaya and Dexter Castro. Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting seeing that. I don't think Hiro has pitted yet. No, he hasn't, and he seems to let Dexter pass. Might be a wise move, seeing that Dexter is really much faster.
104 for Dexter Castro, and that is not what he's been hoping for, probably. The guys who were around him are still doing 102, 101 lap times here. Claudio Klima last lap, for example, 101.7, and well, he's been hoping to maybe, like we've been discussing, try to leapfrog them, but that is only going to work if he runs significantly faster, and at the moment it doesn't look like to be that way.
Well, it is definitely a gamble. If you want to undercut, you really need to have some clean track after you come out of the pits, and it seems like he has a lot of traffic, as now P19 Elidio Pinto is in front of him, and overtaking obviously costs a lot of time, so you really don't want to come out in traffic and having to overtake a lot of cars if you're trying to undercut.
And Klima is currently in a huge stream of traffic. I mean, it's almost could be called a traffic jam here, as half of the race is over, and he's in 9th position here currently behind Jeremy Naylor, who is lapped, and now of course in the way of Claudio Klima. Irian is behind him, of course, making way and trying to of course get by the lapped car easily, as they all have to lay back a bit. Carsten Borg is in 8th position ahead, could just break free a tiny bit, but Rico, it just seems like we're in the middle of the lapping phase right now. Place 20 already in the middle of the grid here, lapped by 1 position. Eric Garcia in 18th, the first one a lap down, and now it's just traffic on all the ends of the track.
Yeah, well, the order has been really scrambled up now, since some people have pitted, some haven't, so it's really a mess right now, and we really have to wait until everyone has pitted to see what the real order is. And we are over halfway through the race, so it's going to be interesting to see when the leaders are pitting.
Oh, and crash! I'm sorry, Rico, but crash, and Giancarlo Lenzi flips the car here 3 times, 4 times here out of the last turn. He just clipped another car, and that's just been the commentator's curse once again. Hiro Kanaya causes Giancarlo Lenzi almost here to flip his car, and that's just what we've been talking about.
Yeah, really unfortunate for him. He was running P3 and looking very promising for the race. I think he was a bit impatient there. Didn't wait for the. He was trying to pass on the exit of the last corner, and seems like there was just a bit of a contact, but that was enough to send Hiro into a spin, and then Giancarlo couldn't do anything about it. But a bit of patience should have. You should have been a bit more patient and maybe overtaken into the first corner.
And we've got another spin on the track. I think you've just seen that live. That was in the first turn between, I think it was, let me just see. Has been another blue car. We've got many blue MX-5s here. And that has been between Sam McAleer, I think, and we're going to have to get a replay from that.
Well, now that the crash of Giancarlo has promoted Thomas Bastos and Sam McAleer into P3 and P4 respectively, and they seem to be having a great fight here. Thomas last lap 1 minute 2.295, whereas Sam McAleer had a 1 minute 2.198, so really similar on pace. Sam only got 1/10 last lap. They're coming to the front straight now soon, so we'll see their lap times now if Sam is really fast and if he can make a move.
Yep, and meanwhile it looked like Giancarlo Lenzi is definitely out here. He's been in the pits, and the pit crew has probably said that the car is too severely damaged and he had to retire from the race. And that is very unfortunate for him. He's definitely a threat for the top 3 here. And meanwhile Guillermo Rato in 2nd position, still 12 seconds behind Jan Komans, but also 14 seconds in front of the 3rd position Thomas Bastos. And yeah, he's almost running into a crash here right away, but there's just traffic everywhere. It's really hard for the guys here to decide whether or not to take the pass or not. And he's just behind Dexter Castro here, and all the things are looking safe so far. But he just looks like he's really running to a crash in every end of the turn.
Yeah, speaking of Thomas and Sam, Sam was faster by 3/10 last lap, so I think Sam is really on a move here and trying to make a move in the next trying to make a move soon. As we've gotten info that Lino Chestang from P5 has pitted on lap 23 and he has rejoined the track in position 16, so let's see where he rejoins as other people start pitting.
Yeah, and he's just in front of Dexter Castro. I mean, just in front is a bit of over-exaggerated, but it looks like it's 5 seconds between them. And I mean, Dexter Castro has just been right behind him before the pit stop, so his strategy doesn't have seemed to play it out, as Castro's been early in the pits and Chastang just now. It looks like the gap has been getting bigger for Chastang.
As we see more and more people pitting, Tom Rathey just came out of the pits. He went in P6 and came out right behind Lino, so no position change there really.
No position change there, but for third position here, as we've got Sam McAleer recovering from his early issues. The car looks still very sturdy and safe, and Bastos, with the damage on the right car, has to give up his third place, of course, to Sam McAleer. Both cars haven't yet been in the pits, and yeah, they're currently fighting for third position, 28 seconds behind the leader. Carsten Borchers in 5th, another guy together with Claudio Klima in 6th who haven't pitted, and it's going to be quite narrow on the fuel load now.
Yeah, hopefully we can get a replay on the pass. That was a really nice move into turn 2 and turn 3 on the inside.
Ooh, and another crash, and it's really getting heated up here. Sam McAleer just clips Earl Davidson on the rear and sends him very sideways here out of the motor draw of the little infield. And it looks like Davidson is also going to make the entry for the pits here. And just in front of him, Elidio Pinto and Claudio Klima.
Well, it seems like Earl Davidson just spun a bit on the exit, and that was enough of a speed change that Sam had nowhere to go and just was unfortunate enough to hit the back of him. But Sam has been really unlucky this race. A bit of mayhem for him this race, but he's been lucky to escape without damage.
And this is really getting heated up now. We've had 30 minutes of racing on the track. Claudio Klima almost completed his pit stop here, and it will be very interesting to see where he exits the pits. Lino Chestang just passed, and also Tom Ratje and Dexter Castro seem to pass him. So for him, the strategy of staying out of the pits didn't really play out that good.
And we've gotten some user feedback that the stream currently is having a bit of a stutter. We apologize for that. That is not our fault. It's a third-party end, and the post-race files will be smooth.
You said it, Riku, and the post-race files, of course, being available on YouTube for instant rewatching and also as a download, 720p quality. And if you want to see the guys racing again, or you're probably going to be one of the guys racing here, trying to rewatch what's been going on around you in the race, go try to take that possibility and rewatch the race in high quality.
Really interesting to see we're on lap 29 now, and still no pits from Jan Komens. It's gonna be interesting to see how long he can last on his fuel load.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, the fuel only goes to 13.5 liters in this car, and it's been quite a while. I mean, he's on lap 29 here, so he's saving lots of fuel, and yeah, several people have already pitted, and I wonder how long he can really stretch this. Giuseppe Airo, meanwhile, also on his way into the pits, taking the entry, and also Jan Komans, our leader, is in the pits here.
Well, this is gonna be interesting to see if P2 of Guilherme is gonna pit. No, he keeps going. He's gonna probably put at least one more extra lap. Not, but there was still a 17-second lead for Jan, so I don't think that's gonna really make much of a difference in the standings.
Yeah, it's probably not, but yeah, he's just looking for some free track here, and it's moreover the decision of yeah, he can stretch it for the fuel. I mean, he doesn't have to risk much. His second place also seems very secure, and it's more like the fight for third position. In fact, Sam McAleer and Thomas Bastos still fighting heavily here, and Carsten Borchers making up 1 second over the last 3 laps. So he's not out of this battle for third position as well.
Yeah, well, now that Jan has pitted, one might assume that the fuel is running very low, so it's going to be interesting to see when Sam and Thomas pit. They're entering the back straight now, so we'll see if they pit this lap.
And I mean, as a driver, Riku, how do you handle this? I mean, you're, let's say, on 6th position. You're Kyle Young in the moment, and you pit now. I mean, you know, probably some drivers have been pitting. You've seen them entering or exiting the pits. You're aware of that. And I mean, you're leaving the pit somewhat in the mid pack, maybe 15th position. How do you guess where you will be in the end? I mean, you don't know if you have to push. You don't know if you have to take it easy, for example, and you're in the middle of traffic. I mean, how do you deal with this?
Well, you really have no chance, no way of knowing really how is it gonna pan out. You just if you're really in a tight group before pitting, you might want to try to push as hard as you can, yet safely, so that you don't make too many mistakes. But yeah, trying to push as hard as you can so you can try to maybe at least maintain your position. If you pit early, the traffic can be a big issue, so you might want to make all the time up you can.
Yep, the traffic can be a big issue, saying that very much correctly, as we've already seen several cars here severely damaged from incidents in traffic. Giancarlo Lenzi is returning from his pit garage just to give the car another try of repairs, and it doesn't look good. It really doesn't look good. He's already several laps down, 9 in fact, as Guillermo Rato, 2nd position, is in the pits.
Well, Sam and Thomas from P2 and P3 are still not pitting. Well, the realistic positions are P3 and P4 now that Rato pitted and Jan Koolmans also pitted. But Sam now takes the race lead for momentarily until he pits. But it's really interesting to see that they've lasted 32 laps on 1 tank of fuel.
Yeah, and it's getting late. I mean, we've only got 8 laps to go, as Koolmans is in 3rd position and these 2 are left to pit. Also, Carsten Borchers in 4th position hasn't pitted yet. Kyle Young in 6th also hasn't, and it appears that Douglas Baird in 7th position also hasn't pitted. And I mean, it's a matter of whether or not to change the tires, but they are also on a set of tires for much over 30 laps now.
Yeah, there is some tire wear, so taking new tires is a good option. As we see, both of them pitting. Thomas Matos and Sam McAleer both heading the pits on lap 32.
Yeah, and we could see the good entry here. Good entry by Sam McAleer. He takes the very wide line here.
Oh no!
Of course, not crossing, and they both slow down a bit early. Pit limit not yet enforced.
I think Sam might not be aware where the yellow cones are, as to where you have to go on the speed limits. Good job by Thomas to not run in the back of him. That was scary. Was a bit of a surprise. Yeah.
And now it's a question. I mean, you can change your tires on the pit stop and you can refuel, and it's a gamble of whether or not you do one or the other thing. I mean, you have to refuel, but would you change the tires in this situation? I mean, you could maybe secure the 3rd position if you don't. But then it's a question if you lose much time on the track, and Bastos leaves the pits in 3rd position.
Yeah, he has a much faster pit than Sam, so maybe Sam took tires, maybe Thomas did not. I mean, it's only 8 laps, and looking at, there didn't seem to be that much tire wear, maybe not even a full second lost in over 30 laps, so in just 8 laps maybe it was wise not to change tires.
That's going to be a tough job for Sam McAleer here to make up the time needed to get back in the 3rd position here, hopefully, as we've not completely restored the order, as Carsten Borchers is still going. Rico, how is he doing that?
He must be some master of fuel saving. Really
seems to be one of the very few guys who hasn't actually pitted yet. Kyle Young in 4th position also not been in the pits, so Douglas Baird also, but then it looks like everyone has been making their mandatory pit stop due to the fuel shortage in the tank, and we're probably going to see Borges, Young and Baird in this lap, or maybe in the next lap, but then it's really getting time.
I really want to know how they're saving so much fuel. I am the worst possible person to save fuel. I really want to learn some tips from these guys.
Yep, and it looks like our wishes or our predictions are heard, as Borges has also entered the pits here, and it's a question of where he's gonna exit. I mean, he's had very good last laps, all in the low 102s, very little traffic, and he's been stuck for several laps before in the top 9 group, so maybe this has just been the very right decision. I mean, we take a look at the guys who have been in place 9, so probably around Yerianis. I mean, Yerianis is just behind Sam McAleer together with Chris Moran. It just looks like they've all been coming closer together.
And as Kyle Young still continues, he has now gone 35 full laps on 1 tank of fuel. It could be a smart idea, since you might just head into the pits for a splash and dash, since fueling for the car takes a long time. So if you go until it's very empty, or until your tank is very empty, you don't have to take that much fuel.
And I'm a bit startled as Borges leaves the pits and just loses the position against Thomas Bastos. And it looks like Borges really made up some time here. That is amazing. He leaves the pits in 6th position here, with Young and Kyle Young and Douglas Baird haven't pitted yet, as Young seems to pit this lap, and also Baird tries to make the move into the pits. And it really looks like Borges made up some really good time here. I mean, I'm amazed. He's even in front of Sam McAleer here.
Yes, there's one guy going off in the wall. There's Mike Eldridge from position 20. He lost it in the, I think that's turn 4 in the left-hander, and just the car veered in off track and into the wall.
And Riku, I've just realized something amazing. Douglas Baird in 3rd position, he's already been in the pits. And we've completely missed that. I mean, he's been in the pits for more than 30 laps almost. He's been in the pits for 28 laps, in fact. 8th lap he pitted in, and he's just been running free for most of the race. I mean, his fastest lap 101.3, and wow, that's quite a surprise.
Yeah, it seems like Douglas Baird pitted as early as possible on laps, it seems like 12, and yeah, that was a really interesting strategy, and it seemed to have paid off really well. Well, he did start on position 3 though, but you must remember that he lost quite a few positions to start the race.
He had a bit of an issue at the start, but it just seems like he's really worked that strategy well. And apart from, of course, leader Jan Komans and 2nd position Guillermo Rato, he's probably one to win this 3rd place with quite a good piece of strategy. But behind him, all cars currently have pitted, and it's not yet decided. For example, 4th position.
Yeah, looking through the field here, the 4th and 5th position fight seems to be pretty much the only close fight in the top 10. No, actually there's a 9th and 10th position between Tom Rathia and Lino Chestang. There's only 1 second gap there, so there's only really 2 good fights in the top 10.
Thanks, Yoni Batman, for some additional info here. Of course, we've got the guys working behind the curtains here. Yoni's just been telling us that the shortest pit stop, in fact, have been the one from Carl Young and Douglas Baird. And Douglas also just made a pit stop for 7 seconds of standing time. Enrico, I mean, he's just been refueling a bit, probably, but he's also not changed tires, did he?
I assume not. I mean, 7 seconds is a really fast stop. I don't think he took tires. It's not really that surprising, considering they only needed to refuel fuel for about 5 laps, so they only needed really little fuel to add into the tank.
Still the right decision, as he's running in 3rd place comfortably with 14 seconds to 2nd place, and 10 seconds, just over 10 seconds here to 4th, and Thomas Bastos still defending against Carsten Borges, who's running closer and closer on fresh tires here. And I mean, Sam McAleer is behind a bit, but we've been discussing this. He's the one who's also been taking tires, probably on the pit stop, and Bastos is supposedly still on the old tires. So this is going to be one big situation. 2 laps to go for them now, and Borges is not going to probably, stay cool and take the 5th place. He's probably going to take the move.
Well, yeah, but there's a good 3-way fight for P8 between Tom Ratje, Jere Janis, and Lino Chestang. They're all within 1.5, no, actually 7/10 from each other. That's really close racing right there.
Yeah, and Kyle Young just behind them in 11th position. He was the one to pit last here in the race, and Joni told us that he is the one with the quickest pit stop of just 5.1 seconds. So he's probably done the most little work, or the little as possible work here. Dexter Castro behind him has been far behind in the actual race, and now it's looking to get all closer together, and the fight for position 8 is really heating up here.
Yeah, as we're watching Jere Janis on TV cam, and he is in a sandwich between Lino Chestang and Tom Ratje, and it's going to be really interesting how he can attack Tom, but at the same time keep his nerves cool, being attacked by Lino.
Jan Komans, meanwhile, we've not been talking much about him, but that's justified as his race has been rather boring, and he's gonna make this first win here in the 4th season of the Blondie's MX5 World Tour. Blistering performance from Jan Komans. He's coming around the last 2 turns right now, completing his 40th lap, just making it a 42-minute race here. Jan Komans is gonna take the victory here on Yokoyama.
Yeah, looking at his laps, he's been really consistent all race long. I mean, 1 minute 1.2s, 1 minute 1.3s, only really about half a second off his qualifying time on each of the laps of the race as he comes over the finish line and takes the victory.
That has just been an amazing performance. He has really shown that he is the guy to take this race here so easily. Start, finish, win it. We're going to stick to place 10 here. There's so many fights going on. Lino Chastain just lost it against them, and now it's just Jere Janis against Tom Ratje here for 8th. But we've also not forgotten the battle for 4th position as they're about to cross the line, and Carsten Borges is not able to make the pass, and he has to settle for 5th as Thomas Bastos is going to take 4th position.
Yeah, unfortunately it doesn't look like Jere Janis could make a move on Tom Ratje unless he makes a big mistake out of the final corner, which he does not. So Jere keeps his 9th position, Tom comes home in 8th, and Lino Chestang finishes off the top 10.
Ooh, and I wonder what's going on with Kyle Young, and that looks like he's running out of fuel just across the line, and that sends Dexter Castro on the 11th position. That really, it's a present on the line, literally for him, as Kyle Young is, that's maybe one of the reasons why his pit stop has been so short, as he's running out of fuel on the line here.
Yeah, looks like he just failed to save enough fuel for the entire race, but that really does explain his super fast pit stop of only 5.1 seconds.
Very interesting race here tonight. Very good performance from both Jan Komans in 1st and Guillermo Rato in 2nd position. Blistering performance from both, as they both had very quiet races, to be fair. Not lots of incidents, and just been amazing performances by both. So this has just been a great race here. Douglas Berg completing the top 3. Also, he's been probably my favorite this race. He's just been having such a conservative strategy, and he's been so easily securing the 3rd position here. We didn't even expect it.
Yeah, I mean, pitted way earlier than anyone else, so he just went under our radar, and we didn't really catch that. But really interesting pit strategies by him that really seemed to work. As we can probably go through the order of the race. Jan Komans comes home in pole position. Guillermo Rato comes 2nd, Douglas Beard 3rd, Thomas Bastos 4th, Carsten Borchers finishes off the top 5, Sam McAleer 6th, Chris Moran 7th, Tom Rathe 8th, Jere Janis 9th, Lino Chestang 10th, Dexter Castro 11th, Carl Young 12th, Gareth Hickling 13th, Claudia Klima 14th, and Mihai Mesesan completes the top 15.
Yeah, and we've got one of the stars of the finish line literally here with us in the booth, Dexter Castro. Hey,
Hello all.
It's been quite a good race for you here, but we're gonna go right to the one of the last scenes we've seen here. On the line versus Carl Young, you've just been overtaking him out of the last turn, and it looked like Kyle Run was running out of fuel.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what happened there when he slowed up. I thought he had me beat, but it had been a good race. We had been going back and forth for a couple laps, and I mean, I had a couple opportunities to maybe dive in, but I decided that would not be the smart thing to do.
We've seen 28, actually we've seen 30 cars on the grid tonight. So you've been running in the middle of the pack for most of the race. How have you been imagining this? I mean, it's a short track, all similar cars, actually the same cars, similar setups, and you had lots of fighting, lots of overtaking, and I mean, we've seen some incidents here, but the race has been quite fair for you, has it?
Yes, the race actually went quite well. I was surprised by how many very fast guys showed up last season. I was usually competing for a top 5, and today I wasn't even in the top 10, so that's a good surprise though, that there's a good amount of competition in the league. My race went fine. I think I probably made a mistake by taking tires on my pit stop. I don't think they quite paid off.
Well, that's one thing we've seen, different strategies on the pit stop. We've seen third position Douglas Baird pitting very early here, just to complete many laps in free traffic, no cars around him. And we've just seen the first round here, Dexter, and I mean, the next round will be on Lime Rock Park, another really classic here. And you guys all seem very similar, very confident with these cars, of course, so Lime Rock is probably going to be one of your favorites too.
Yes, I've had plenty of great races in this series and others in Lime Rock, so it should be fun next week.
Well, that sounds perfect, and that's our closing arguments here. It's been a pleasure to commentate this, as we've seen plenty of fighting here all over the racetrack tonight. 30 cars fighting for the lead here. First round of the series here on Okayama finished tonight. QRS Blondie's World Tour, and we're gonna have the second race right away next weekend, as we've said, on Lime Rock Park full course, another 45 minutes race, all the same guys here, and it's gonna be the question if Jan Komans can complete the second victory of the series here. And Rico, I think it's just gonna be a blast.
Yeah, if it's anything like this race, it's gonna be a great race. I mean, Lime Rock is even shorter of a track, so it's gonna be even more closer racing.
Closer racing, and I think that should be the biggest argument for you guys to tune in again, and of course also enjoy the post-race files here in high quality. And we are Rico Alatalo and Marius Gollenbeck, and we were happy to broadcast this race and hopefully welcome you back next week, and that is good night from us.